The purpose is a little bit different. So we are going to be providing education and trainings. We're really trying to make sure that we're building capacity to do the work. We want to have the opportunity to collaborate and network and share information, which we'll be doing later on as well. These again will be 4 times in a year, 1.5 hours max, and they will be open to any partner organization or individual members. Just wanted to quickly present this kind of graphic of the dates for those designated rep meetings and our CoC membership meetings. We have sent out calendar holds or calendar invites for all of them. If you feel you're missing from one of them, please reach out to contact@nocococ.org after this meeting, and I can troubleshoot with you. But what do we want from you all in the meantime? So we want to provide a training at the next CoC membership meeting. It will take place in April, but we really want to make sure that we are doing a topic or a training that makes most sense to you all and you're most interested in. So if you could take a picture of the QR code on the screen, or in a second, I will put the link to the survey online. It's really quick and easy. We're basically just asking you to rank your top 5 topics, and based on what is most popular, that's what you're going to see in April. And we'll have more information before that meeting on what we're going to do. But we'd really appreciate if you all could inform this process. I'm going to stop sharing. We'll put that link in the chat. One moment. Are there any questions before we move on to our next agenda item?
I don't see any raised hands, Christine.
Okay, thank you. I realized okay. Then I will
Christine, did you see the chat?
Yes. People are welcome to do that. We also have, because people registered, that's basically how we can track everyone who is attending. So more than welcome to put your name and agency in the chat if you would like. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you all for doing that. Appreciate it. I see lots of you putting your name and agency in the chat. Perfect. Okay. Then I'm going to head and move on to our next agenda item, which is a training. It'll be presented by Carrie Clark, the CoC's Governing Board Vice Chair, also Executive Director at Alternatives to Violence. But she's going to be giving an overview of a continuum of care, and specifically the Northern Colorado continuum of care. So I'll pass it to you, Carrie.
Thank you. I'll share my screen in a moment to bring the presentation up, which I want to fully say I did not put together. I'm just doing the presentation, and I don't say that is not taking responsibility for it, but more that it's an amazing presentation that I didn't do. So if anybody has any questions, we have spoken, as Christine mentioned, and thank you for the intro. Christine, I'm the vice chair of the board for the CoC and executive director at Alternatives to Violence in Loveland. We as a board have noticed that a lot of people come in and out of membership of the CoC based on where you work, if you're told to join, if you're a new employee. And sometimes we take for granted that some people might not understand what the CoC is and what our function is. So we wanted to put this together. If anybody has any questions on this new platform, please feel free to raise your hand at any time. And we can also answer questions at the end, or you can reach out to any board member or anybody else that you need some information on. I'm going to attempt to share. So hopefully this works. Hang on one second. Do we see the presentation? Good.
You do.
We're starting off solid. Okay, so we are the Northern Colorado Continuum of Care, which includes both Weld and Larimer County. Amazing work to be done between the two counties. When people want to know what a continuum of care is, I actually kind of like the title of it, of being continuum of care, because it's sort of self-explanatory. But it's a regional planning body that HUD, the Housing and Urban Development, had put together so that service providers in each region have a organized and coordinated effort to for response to homelessness. It is not an organization. We specifically, the NoCO Continuum of Care, do have a lead agency. Actually, we've got two of them who help run things, but we are a body. So a good way to think of it as a cohort. There is a board that runs the CoC. We do have staff, which we will get to as well. And as I mentioned, the lead agency, as well as lead agency for HMIS, which at the moment are two separate agencies. And it's basically organizing and coordinating the response to homelessness so that people are not just willy-nilly and trying to get homeless housed. So it promotes the community-wide response to ending homelessness and really requires using the housing first best practices for a collective impact across the region. So we ask that those members of Continuum of Care do agree to practicing housing first best practices. That may also be a training later if people aren't really sure how we do that. We have cross-sector representation. So there's public, private, government agencies, other nonprofits, private community members, and those who have lived experience with homelessness. Colorado currently has 4 CoCs. So prior to the continuum, Northern Colorado Continuum of Care, there were 3. So Metro Denver Homeless Initiative, which is 7-county Denver metro region, the Pikes Peak Continuum of Care, which is El Paso County, and then the balance of state, which is everything else. So the remaining 54 counties. We used to be part of the balance of state. And as most people know, coordinating efforts is really difficult when you're talking to 54 counties with different demographics and different ways to do things across the state. So our NoCO Continuum of Care petitioned to be our own, and that was granted in, oh good, there is history on here. In January of 2020, which, if you all can imagine, was a lovely time to try to do this transition. It began in 2020 and continued on, and we switched over, I believe, really fully in March of 2020, which is the fabulous month that COVID started. The governing board served as the primary driver of the work. In 2021, we submitted our first competitive CoC program application with 2 new projects. And that is through the NOFO, used to be called the NOFA. We then around the same time hired Kelly Pryor in 2022, at the beginning of 2022, as the CoC's first official director. Kelly resigned in early 2024, and we have been without a director since then. I want to preface that by saying that Kelly is still on a contract basis with us and doing wonderful things with the CoC. And the fact that we are without a director is a conscious decision, because the NoCO CoC does have in its bylaws to put out an RFP for lead agency every 5 years. we thought it was prudent to wait until that was done until deciding what to do of hiring a director. In the meantime, Christine has been a fabulous interim director and getting things coordinated and running without pause. The CoC board and board structure and governance is in a state of growth and improvement. As you can imagine, it started off as a group. We are now officially our own CoC. And every year things are growing and improving so that we could be the most effective CoC that we possibly can be. So how's the CoC funded? And we know that that can be confusing for people since we are not our own private entity. We can think of it more that we have a fiscal agent or that we're underneath it. Even though we have a board, we have staff that run it, it still needs some funding. We have a lead agency. So we are funded by federal and state grants, foundations, like many nonprofits. The CoC lead agency and the HMIS lead agency really provide a lot of their own funding. They do receive from our competitive grant process with the NoCO some planning dollars, but we really appreciate those agencies because it is certainly not enough to keep up with the everyday running of the CoC. So they contribute, local government contributes, so City of Fort Collins, Greeley, Loveland, and the counties as well contribute as well to funding. And finally, the CoC membership contributions. I do understand that sometimes people wonder if they work for this government agency or if they run a nonprofit, why are they contributing to something that is also a nonprofit? But the CoC really does depend on it, and it is a great body to be able to bring all the organizations together. So you can think of it as if you were joining a state coalition in the work that you do. Ours is domestic violence. So we have Violence Free Colorado as well for sexual assault, CoC. I know there's other coalitions, state-run coalitions and groups, and usually individual nonprofits donate to those organizations or contribute as membership dues. So it really helps us keep functioning and to bring everybody together. So NoCO CoC's essential objectives are to align the strategies across the region. Without this alignment, it can get very confusing and not be quite as beneficial to those that we're serving. We do follow by Housing First best practices. We coordinate with local governments. We set regional priorities, whether that's, we can get more into the regional priorities later, but it depends on what we're really focusing on, what groups, what populations that we're housing first, and how we're doing it. HUD requires CoCs with their funding. They really support it. They don't tell you a lot on how they want it done because they want regional CoCs and all state CoCs to be able to set these priorities on what fits best in their area. Funding coordination, so collaboration over the competition. There are grants that are coordinated by the NoCO CoC. So it's a CoC grant that is funded by HUD. We do have a few of those. And everybody's heard me say this. I actually cannot remember how many. So maybe Christine at some point can let us know. Somewhere like 7 to 10, I think. We're close there that are funded. So they're CoC funded. They may be the same projects you're used to hearing if they are permanent supportive housing or rapid rehousing. The funding comes from HUD, but it is how we coordinate that funding through the NoFo and really bring dollars into this region to help the homeless housing efforts. And then we also want to elevate lived experience voices. So we do have a lived experience council, and it's really important to listen to those voices on how best to assist. A function of an objective of the NoCO CoC is to ensure comprehensive and quality data. Most organizations who are members of the CoC and do housing for our homeless population are part of the HMIS. Most are required to be for the Homeless Management Information System. The exception to that are victim service agencies or domestic violence agencies. They cannot enter their data into HMIS because of confidentiality. Our HMIS lead agency, which is currently Homeward Alliance, and the CoC are currently working on that effort so that we can include victim service providers in CAPS meetings and make sure that the data is there some way or another. So there are comparable databases to be used. We just do not use, I say that because we're a victim service agency, do not use HMIS. We, as a CoC, coordinate the point in time count and housing inventory counts. Those also are not required by HUD, but are strongly encouraged and help with efforts. You get more points on them when we go for funding. So we do that. And it's very important to have accurate data to be able to get the funding we need and to be able to set those priorities on how we do the work that we do. And then we also provide a state of homelessness report for all the same reasons. Another objective is supporting effective housing placements. So we do work, and some of the staff on the CoC with, as many of you know, maybe not some of the newer ones, on our coordinated entry system. There are a few different ones. Ours is around in different CoCs in different regions. Ours is called CAPS, so the Coordinated Assessment Housing Placement System, and that is done by giving the SPDAT, which I am not going to tell you what that stands for because I can never remember. But many of you who give it understand. So we assess those who are looking for housing, and this is another coordinated effort to be as fair as possible in our region to housing folks. We support case conferencing for different agencies, flexible funding for clients that are coming in. We currently have prioritized the veterans for housing to get to our Built for Zero goal. That is another topic that we can talk on further, but we really support that effort in our initial prioritization. The NoCO CoC is a very fluid and somewhat confusing to other people of our organizational flow and how it runs. Our board chair, Aaliyah, put this together, and I think it really helps illustrate how it is a joint effort. Everything that the CoC does is collaborative and a joint effort. There's no top down really going through everything. So we have advisory boards, which include the Lived Experience Council and the Point in Time Committee. We have a CAPS steering committee that are working very hard to make the CAPS efforts more cohesive and fair. There's a rating and ranking committee, which come together for those we're required to rate and rank those who are putting in the NoFo for CoC funding. Another thing that HUD requires, and the data and performance committee. So those are all advisory boards, people on the CoC board, as well as general membership folks. And if I'm wrong on this, somebody please pop in and correct me. I do believe anybody can be on the advisory boards. Christine, is that correct? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. We do have ad hoc work groups and committees for when certain things need to be done. Our HMIS lead agency, as I mentioned earlier, is currently Homeward Alliance. So they administer the HMIS system. They work on system improvements. We have a system improvement manager and an HMIS specialist. Who I believe later in a slide, we will let you know who those folks are. And if not, I'll come back and remind everybody of it. But they oversee the data and quality reporting for the HMIS. We have the governing board. We have an executive committee who are the chair, the vice chair, secretary, and treasurer. And the governing board each has committees of other board members underneath them that work on the improvement and the cohesive strategies of the CoC. So that would be a board development committee, but membership engagement committee, and the finance committee. With all that, we have a CoC director who at the moment is interim director is Christine running things. So they oversee the CoC administration, the program, compliance, community engagement, the board governance, and the staff. Nobody is telling everybody really what to do. We are all working together in these efforts. The collaborative applicant oversees CAPS, HUD compliance, and system outcomes. Currently, the collaborative applicant is the United Way of Weld County. We do currently have an RFP that was out. I believe the RFP has closed and it is in the decision-making areas at the moment on who, if, and where, what will take over both collaborative applicant and HMIS lead agency. It can be two separate agencies or it can be one agency. So all of that is the general membership in the middle, stakeholders invested in ending homelessness. And the outside is everybody working together on that. So board of directors provides leadership, vision, and direction to all those committees. We have assigned duties and provide oversight for the lead agency. Again, currently those two are Homeward Alliance and United Way of Weld County. The committees give expert recommendations to the board. Lead agencies provide expertise to the board. Committees and leads support each other with information and capacity. So again, a very good flow back and forth for everyone. Our current board slate, I have some cameras in my way, so excuse me a moment. Board members can serve up to 3 two-year terms, so for a total of 6 years. We do have reserve seats that are exempt from term limits, but are encouraged to appoint new representation every 6 years. So we have reserve seats based on just regulations of HUD and a few other things. We won't go into the details of that. So what you see up now is our current board slate. The ones that are in, and I'm trying to make, because again, I didn't make this presentation. So the dark colored purple, they're both purple, which I appreciate as it's the color of domestic violence. The dark color are our reserved seats. So Aaliyah, who's our current chair, is with Larimer County, Allison, City of Loveland. So as you can see, those are typically government entities for various reasons, but they are reserved seats. The others are come from various other places, other nonprofits, organizations, government entities, etc. So our staff for Homeward Alliance, who is the HMIS lead agency, is Rachel Kirkland. She's the HMIS system administrator and doing great efforts to make sure we've got the data that we need to do what we do. Devin Shade is the HMIS specialist, and then Jen is the system improvement manager. And the CAPS team, which is under the lead agency, again, currently United Way of Weld County, consists of Christine, who's the director of system improvement and has been keeping us afloat for a bit. Sophie is our CAPS data system specialist, and then Mo is the CAPS community specialist. So they all technically work for United Way, who's the lead agency, but they are running our day-to-day efforts for coordinated entry. And look at this nice little pitch in here, how to access CoC meeting recordings. So these are being recorded. Is this new as well, Christine? No, we have been doing it.
Yeah, we do
Perfect.
have a YouTube channel. So I wanted to shout out there, and I'll put the link as well. So just a reminder that we do upload all membership meetings to that YouTube account, so people have access if they have a meeting or some, outside whatnot, they can see.
Want to look up something, or if you can't make it, you can review them on there. And I believe that is it for our short lesson on what is the CoC. Does anybody, and I have no idea how to see if this is even a possibility, so somebody will have to tell me, does anybody have any questions? It still, by the way, can seem overwhelming. I've told my staff who have come in and then attended CoC meetings, it's very complicated. I have been attending meetings and part of the CoC for 6.5 years now, and I still feel like I'm learning something new on a daily basis on the process of the efforts that the CoC does and how it relates to service providers in the area and really working to help our homeless in our region. So that being said, lots of people still have questions and we are here to answer them. Is there any way to know if anybody has any questions? I'm going to assume no. You can also probably put them in the chat.
Yeah.
No, nothing. Okay. Well, again, reach out if anybody's too embarrassed or doesn't want to ask anything now. Feel free to contact Christine or any of us board members and we can help you out.
Awesome.
Thanks,
so
everyone.
Yeah, I just want to give another quick shout out to Aaliyah Rodriguez with Larimer County, who's the chair on the governing board. She put together these slides to give an orientation for our new governing board members, but we thought they were incredibly helpful. And as Carrie said, we're all still learning. Continuums of care are very complicated. And so there's no stupid questions. So please reach out to us if you're confused about anything. And I'd also like to shout out Lexi again, who helped with those visuals in that presentation, kind of putting together a nice way for you to see how the CoC is oriented. And kind of, as Carrie said, it's not a top down, it's really a collaborative coalition. So thank you for that. Okay, yeah, I don't see any raised hands or questions in the chat, so I'm going to move on to our next agenda item. Just a quick kind of refresher on this. So we're moving on to updates from our partner organizations. This is a new process. So historically, we have kind of just asked the group to kind of raise your hand and come off mute and share anything. We did put out a survey in the fall to all of our membership asking how you would like to receive updates. And you said you'd like to submit them prior to the meetings. So we kind of implemented a new process. I'm going to present the information that was sent to me on the slides. It's not comprehensive. These are just kind of items I pulled out. You will see in the chat that Lexi sent a PDF that has all the information in there. So you can reference it if you have kind of, ooh, like something caught my eye about what the Jacob Center said. You can see all the information they submitted and always reach out if you have questions. But I'll pull up those slides so we can take a look. 1 second. Oh, where did I go? Okay. So here are the membership updates. I'm going to start with upcoming events. So their appointed time count is happening. It is this time of the year. This is, continuums of care. You need to conduct an annual point in time count on the last 10 days of January. So we have decided that Tuesday, January 28th is that day for our region. So the sheltered count will take place the night again of Tuesday, January 28th. And then the following day, survey efforts will take place to get a count of those who are unsheltered. Again, we are asking people if they're unsheltered the night of January 28th, even though that surveying is happening the next day. So just want to clarify that. A big shout out to Lyle, Smith Graybill, Rachel Kirkland, Kelly Pryor, all of those folks who have helped to coordinate this process. And then, of course, to all of our partners who support this effort. It's not possible without you all at the table helping to conduct this count. And so we really appreciate your participation and engagement, as well as just, meeting with us and kind of talking through what's worked well in the past, what we could change moving forward, whatnot. We have a really streamlined process. That feedback is always super valuable. If you do have additional questions, or I should say we did do trainings earlier this week as well on Tuesday. They were recorded. All folks that are either doing a shelter count, helping with that, or the unsheltered count should have received that training or been sent the recording. But if you feel that you are missing information, please reach out to Lyle at unitedway-well.org. He can either answer your question or make sure you are redirected to the appropriate person. Sorry.
Christine?
Yeah.
Yes, we have two questions. One is, and if this is a Lyle question, I'll pass that along. Are y'all looking for volunteers still for the point in time count?
Good question. I do not believe so, but I would reach out to Lyle just to confirm. But I'm pretty sure we've had meetings with everyone. I think we are pretty set at this point to conduct a count. But I would just double check with Lyle.
Super. And then Stacy Schaefer put in the chat, will you be counting unhoused in the jail in the PIT count?
That is actually a great question. And I am not feeling confident to give the answer. I do not want to misspeak. So I don't know if anyone else has information on that, or again, I can follow up with that.
Kelly said no.
Okay, thank you. Oh yeah, there you go. Thanks, Kelly. Okay.
Kelly, if you want to elaborate, just let me know and we can unmute you too.
Rachel elaborated with HUD does not consider jail to be a living situation. That is homeless.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. So I'm not going to go over every single word on these slides. I was trying to kind of highlight the key information. Again, that PDF that's in the chat has all the details on what our partner organization submitted. The Matthews House, very exciting. Their regional youth shelter is going to be opening at the end of January. Very exciting because this is the first one in our region. So kudos to them. I know it's a lot of work and all the partners that have supported it. Very excited. Larimer County Jail, we have a primary contact, phone number and email. So if you have questions, you know who to contact. Community Justice Alternatives, they have a competency program with 5 employees. They also recently have added the ability to house their pre-sentence population at work release with up to 10 beds. Colorado Poverty Law Project has added a couple legal clinics, one to help people file and answer in Larimer County eviction cases, another general housing clinic. Loveland's Community Kitchen has 3 staff members now. Their name and positions are here, but in the detailed information, you also have emails provided. So if you need to reach out to anyone, that's there. Housing Catalyst said that in early 2025, their latest development project will open to residents. It's the Villages on Impala. They'll provide 86 homes with affordable rents in Northwest Fort Collins. And then High Plains Housing Development is continuing to work on the construction phase of the Starrise Permanent Supportive Housing Apartments in Greeley, 58 units. Also very exciting because this is new in Greeley. Their current construction completion is estimated for October 30th, with a lease up by the end of December of this year. And I know when we first heard about this project, it seemed so far away, and it's really not. But they also hired an assistant director, Josh Fullenweider, formerly with Connections for Independent Living. Salvation Army of Loveland gave a great overview of all the services that they can provide, including rent deposit assistance, respite hotel vouchers, not the Jacob Center, kind of talking about a year of changes. I think that's what happens for a lot of us. Discontinued one program, started a new counseling program, and began a caregiver education program. Family Housing Network has a new case manager at Sherwood House. And then Connections for Independent Living give really great updates, have some staff changes. Welcome Yendra. They're working on a deposit assistance grant in Northeast Counties, Chaffa, and partnering with Ames tax sites to support folks and benefits enrollment into vital services. And then Homeward Alliance, the NoCO HMIS team proudly welcomed the addition of a new system improvement manager, Jen Barnett. This role is really helping to expand their capacity to support homeless serving organizations across the CoC with an initial focus on programs in Weld County. Those are just some snippets. We got some legislation updates as well. Housing Catalyst recently implemented the Housing Opportunity through Modernization Act. They also adopted HUD's national standards for the physical inspection of real estate for property management. And then this Colorado Department of Human Services, the federal authority that allows for the replacement of SNAP benefits stolen through electronic benefit theft, is ending on December 20th. Again, in those detailed updates, there's more information on kind of how you can file, when you can file. Let's see here. And then lastly, we are also trying to gather any funding updates or opportunities that we all should be aware of in our region. So the city of Fort Collins, their competitive process for housing, human services, and homelessness is now accepting applications, which I realize I think I skipped one of the slides because they also have a new housing manager, Vanessa Fenley. So just want to give that update. That's that for this who submitted updates using the form. We did want to give the opportunity if anyone would like to provide additional updates, just again, please raise your hand and we can get to you. So if anyone would like to do that who's in attendance. I see Paula.
Yes. So some of the updates that we have is we have passed all of our city requirements for the new building construction. And so now we're just finishing up fundraising, and we're hoping to break ground with our new building sometime in the summer. So wanted to give that update.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I see a couple other hands. Joe?
Yes. Two updates, one for Larimer County, one for Weld. It's kind of an unfortunate announcement to make in Larimer County right now. We continue to be at capacity for families, and it's, you know, unfortunate with this brutal cold snap to turn people away. Just kind of an FYI. On the other side of the ledger, though, in Weld County, we're really pleased to announce that through the Weld Trust, we have a pretty robust homelessness prevention grant and are providing rental assistance in Weld County. And that has really hit the ground running the beginning of this month. So if you're serving folks that need help, that are housing insecure, need help with rental assistance or mortgage assistance, please have them contact us.
Thank you. Dylan?
Yep, we have a few updates here in Loveland as well. Just a quick one is we do have a new lottery system for our overnight shelter. If you would like to have more details sent to you on our process and when we call and how to do that, I will drop my email in the text. And we'll have the opportunity for you to send me an email and I can send you our process. The other part of it is obviously with the cold weather, we have been reaching capacity every single night. Our new lottery system has greatly decreased the individuals we are turning away. However, there still has been a lot of conversations about turnaways, and we are really, we haven't had it happen yet, but just wanted to let you guys know our lottery system prevents that. As for the city council conversation, the city council study session originally scheduled for January 28th to discuss a fiscally responsible plan for the city to eventually running the SRF and LRC shelters has been moved to February 25th. The presentation will also briefly touch on the question of conducting an impact study around the potential shelter at 2000 North Lincoln, but will primarily address the current shelters. If anyone wants more information, please feel free to contact Allison Haid. And that's all we have here.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Dylan. I do not see any other hands up right now, but I'm going to give it one last call for anyone to come up, raise your hand so you can share any updates. I see Deb put something in the chat as well, but just anything else? Oh yeah, I see Brittany. There you go. Go for it, Brittany. I cannot hear anything from Brittany. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, you're unmuted on Zoom, Brittany, but it may be an audio thing on your end. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else? Okay. I'm going to move along to our next agenda item since I do not see any raised hands. Let me just quickly check. Okay, yes. So it is a new year. And so I wanted to have a little fun with reflecting on 2024 and what we have accomplished. Just any kind of things to celebrate, highlight. I know obviously in the work that we do, we're always kind of acknowledging like what's not working, frustrated, whatnot, but it's also really important to just acknowledge the work that we are doing as a coalition and whatnot. And so I'm going to highlight some things that would not be possible without all of you at the table participating in one way or another. It's not comprehensive by any means, but I just wanted to kind of focus on some things that happened in 2024 as kind of a reflection. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Yes, so a little year in review. Again, looking back at 2024. Okay, and so first I'm going to kind of start with the NoCO CoC governing board. I've kind of sectioned this into different parts of the CoC that are required for us to kind of accomplish our overall goal of ending homelessness in our region. So with the governing board, just some of the highlights. We elected 7 new governing board members in December. We had our voting members vote to approve the entire slate, and we had all of our new members join in 2025, which is very exciting. We also submitted the NOFO, or Notice of Funding Opportunity, as Carrie touched on earlier in her presentation. It's an annual competition, or was annual, now it's moving to every 2 years, but it's an annual competition to bring funding into our region. It's a massive undertaking. It is the responsibility of the collaborative applicant, or United Way of Weld County, to oversee this process. Thank you to Kelly Pryor, who contracted with us to oversee this work, and then to all of our partners again that helped us put together that narrative of what we're doing in our region, and the partners that apply for the funding, whatnot. It's a lot of work. Very exciting to have another one behind us. Also, the governing board set their annual priorities. We kind of look at, do we prioritize what populations, what type of projects do we prioritize? Kind of every year thinking about what we are seeing on the ground and what needs to be prioritized when funding might be scarce, capacity, you name it. We also this was implemented by Aaliyah, the governing board chair. We now have monthly committee reports at every governing board meeting so we can understand what is happening with all those different governing board committees, the work that they are doing, how we might collaborate together so we're not duplicating our efforts, whatnot. And then we also sent out a membership diversity survey this summer. I got 97 responses, which is awesome. Thank you all who participated in that. It's really helpful for us just to kind of get an idea of the representation of our membership. Next, I wanted to highlight some of the things related to CAPS, or the Coordinated Assessment Housing Placement System. Again, this is a system required by HUD for any continuum of care. It's how we identify households who are experiencing homelessness, assess them for their housing needs and vulnerabilities, match them to appropriate resources, and eventually we hope that they lease up. I just want to say first, we pulled data from HMIS and other reports, and there were 358 exits from CAPS to housing, which is great to see. Love that. And then part of that reason why we have those numbers is because there was new programming that went through coordinated entry or CAPS to either take referrals or identify individuals who are experiencing homelessness. And so I just want to kind of call out that new programming. We have the St. Valentine Apartments, project-based permanent supportive housing in Loveland. We had street outreach and rapid rehousing by City of Greeley. Neighbor to Neighbor had a rapid rehousing program, and Summit Stone Health Partners Loveland Street Outreach launched as well. Then I did also want to highlight that the CAPS team is administering 2 flexible assistance funds. We have one that kind of started in 2023 with Built for Zero for veterans, but that is still ongoing. We still have money to support veterans move quickly into housing. And we also this year received, or last year, it's 2025. In 2024, we got funding from Larimer County to do a CAPS Flexible Financial Assistance Fund. And that was something new that we've never done before through the CoC. So it's really exciting. And then lastly, I did want to call out, there are multiple committees that are supporting the work of our coordinated entry system and helping us identify necessary system improvements. There's 4 listed right here, and we have a variety of different partner members who are at the table coming to those committee meetings monthly, sometimes twice a month, some are quarterly, whatnot, but we just really appreciate everyone signing up, volunteering their time to inform this process. Also wanted to shout out some Homeless Management Information System, or HMIS, highlights for 2024. So they again welcome the addition of HMIS System Improvement Manager, Jen Barnett. So they kind of expanded their capacity and ability to streamline data collection and improve data quality. And now with that increased capacity, we can really look at our data. What is our system telling us? Again, what are those system improvements that need to happen so that we can better respond to the need and achieve our goal of ending homelessness? And so I would also like to call out all the dashboards that they have helped create to inform the work of our committees, like our assessment and prioritization task force, like the CAPS annual evaluation process. It would not be possible without them at the table to provide that data in a way that is easy to digest and understand. And then, like I said, this is not comprehensive. There's so much amazing work that happened in 2024. So if you feel that something is missing from this list, or something you just want to recognize that happened in our region, especially an example of collaboration among multiple different partners, I encourage you to put that in the chat. I will include it with the meeting notes because I do not want to miss anything. So please use that feature. That's it. Just want to do a quick little year in review of 2024. Let me check the chat. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Brittany, for putting that information. Let me move along. Okay. Wow. we are right on schedule with the agenda. It is 2:05. And I'm just going to talk briefly about looking ahead. So Carrie has already mentioned this, but I just wanted to again say that right now, it is best practice every 5 years that a continuum of care puts out a public request for proposals to be the collaborative applicant and or HMIS lead agency. Our CoC is currently doing that process. So the RFP went out in December. The application deadline was this January 10th. And so right now there is a special subcommittee consisting of governing board members and the lead member of our Lived Experience Advisory Council who are reviewing applications and will make a recommendation to our governing board in February. So more to come on that. If there are questions, you can reach out to Aaliyah Rodriguez. She is the chair on the CoC governing board and overseeing that process. Just wanted to share that. But other than that, we can check out. I just want to quickly say thank you all for your patience. This is a new process that we are trying with the Zoom webinar feature. So we're learning as we go, but I do appreciate you participating, putting things in the chat, raising your hand, whatnot. But and I will say, please fill out that survey if you really want to inform what training topic is presented at our next CoC membership meeting. That will take place Thursday, April 24th at 1 p.m. Again, you should have a calendar invite hold. We will be updating those calendar invites with registration links shortly. So you'll be able to register, get a Zoom link, and then be good to go. But yeah, just kind of wanted to remind everyone about that. But yeah, otherwise, I appreciate y'all attending. Let's see here. There we go. We have a question from Annie. Where is the Guadalupe Community Center? It's in Greeley. Oh. Yeah, okay, Greeley. I was like, oh no. Yeah, but thank you all for attending, and I'll let you get back to the rest of your day. More to come. Thank you so much.